I swear I'm going to get these glasses adjusted once and for all. No, they're not. They're store-bought over-the-counter reading glasses of one power, which isn't strong enough for me anymore. Got them 7 years ago. I guess I got my money's worth out of them. They weren't cheap. About $10 for the pair back then. Okay, I'm not going to read from the Bible to you. This is not Awakening Israel. This is giving psychology away. And I think what we're looking at is number 118. We certainly are. Now, what I failed to tell you in the last programs are as follows. Elena Kagan, Justice Elena Kagan, should be off the court. She should perhaps even lose her law license. Guilty of very bad behavior. And that was that when her boss's case came before the previous boss's case, former boss's case, came before the Supreme Court, she failed to recuse herself. And she voted for it. And she had no business voting for it. And that was Obamacare. And what was the problem? She had represented the government before. She was the government's attorney who defended Obamacare. So she had no business being a judge, judging it at all. She should have declared the conflict of interest and used it as a basis to recuse herself. She failed to do that. That's extremely bad behavior. It's unacceptable for a judge. And even an attorney should be required has to reveal any conflicts of interest as well. So she should just lose her bar license completely. That's all there is to it. Remember, there's no lifetime appointment to Supreme Court justices. That is a fallacy. That is one of the myths they perpetrate upon us. They may serve while under good behavior, and the B in behavior is capitalized. She's definitely guilty of unethical behavior, bad behavior, conflict of interest behavior. So she needs to be just kicked off that damn court. She needs to be gone. I wonder how often she goes to China and gets an honorarium of $1 million or $2 million from China. All the Supreme Court justices go to China, give lectures, and are paid an honorarium far exceeding what they get paid for their positions in the government here. It's not that we don't pay these people enough, it's that we don't hold them accountable enough, and we don't get rid of them when they screw up. Elena Kagan needs to be gone. Sotomayor never should have been appointed. She was a racist to begin with. She was insulting to begin with. And I'm pretty sure she's the one that leaked that judgment that was coming, the decision on abortion. And I'll tell you, the only reason they made abortion not legal through Roe versus Wade, because the precedent of Roe versus Wade gave you a right to privacy. And of course, that would be in a violation of the of the Patriot Act. What a damn name to give a spying on your own people, a war on your own people act, the Patriot Act. How unpatriotic. And it is in violation of our Bill of Rights, hands down. So, and I think that Mr. Kavanaugh never should have made it to the court. They put on this dog and pony show about how he sexually abused or gang raped some college co-ed. You realize that the woman that testified before Congress had some sort of immunity because her father was in government service that provided some sort of immunity? She should have been charged with a crime, lying to Congress. Blasey Ford should have been imprisoned on that. And Kavanaugh, they didn't need to bring up that stuff, those false charges. They made a mockery of the entire government when they did that. They didn't just mock him, they mocked the court, and they mocked themselves by doing that. When you undermine one authority, you undermine all authority. And clearly they undermine the authority of the court, and they undermine the authority of the process. They undermine their own Senate, their own positions. They're a bunch of dumbasses who should be sent home packing, and new senators should be coming from the state legislators of their state. They should be instantly fireable. Doing bad behavior like that, send their asses home, require them to finish out the term in their state legislature to which they were elected originally. You see, that's the problem with your 17th Amendment. It holds for the direct election of senators, which means the state governments are no longer represented. Instead, you have a super congressman, super congresswoman, elected directly by the people. That ain't right. You've destroyed your republic when you did that. So when I tell you that you have to do what I say regarding the strategic intervention of the original 13th Amendment, I'm serious. I am extremely serious. You have no choice but to do the strategic intervention which I came up with, which is a result of what Eustace Mullins wrote and what he declared in the videos. You ought to watch Eustace Mullins' videos. You're going to learn a lot. That man had a position in the Library of Congress or the National Library. He set up a cot in the basement. He stayed there. He got the new books that arrived, and he read them. And he had access to a lot of books that never made it to the shelves. That's how oppressed we are. A lot of that knowledge just gets censored right off. That doesn't make it to the shelf. Eustace got to read that stuff. That's why he knew so much, and he stayed there reading all the time. Finally, the FBI had to escort him off. I think he got fired and he was evicted. I think that's what happened. I don't know. If you know, chime in the comments. Tell the rest of us about it. Do like this video. Do share this video. Do subscribe. Help me to overcome that algorithm. I've gotten one more subscriber this last week. Talk about hard-earned and hard-fought for. Wow. I do not monetize these videos. I only sell one product, and that is this Bible. There's 5 formats available of the best Bible in the world. You need to get that Bible, folks. You need to make that part of your household library, and you need to read it above all else. The only way America is going to become great again if America becomes good again. The only way America is going to be good again is if you do what Barack Obama said, and he says you cling to your guns and your Bibles. Well, you better start reading your Bibles. And you will find Barack Obama, by the name of Barack, mentioned in Deuteronomy. I believe it's chapter 41, verse 31. I remember the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. It's in Deuteronomy. I think it's 41, verse 32, actually. Go look it up. You will find Yahweh says, I will use my Barak against mine enemies. And other versions it says, I will use my Barak against those who hate me. America hates Yahweh, Creator, Father, God today. And yet at the same time America's going down the tubes, we're discovering his original name, his proper name, and we're restoring it in the scriptures. It was removed in 275 BC, folks. Let's see, that's 2,300 years ago, it was removed from the Bible, when the Septuagint was being translated and produced out of Alexandria by Ptolemy II. Now, what we want to know and what we don't agree on right now is, was Ptolemy II a good guy or a bad guy? Did he remove Yahweh's name wittingly, knowing what he was doing? Or did he just make a mistake? And in case you're wondering, the reason he had to produce a Greek Bible was because the Israelites had left northern half of Israel, and most of them had become Hellenized. They were speaking Greek, and they were practicing. Well, they were up in Greece for the most part. They had left. They had crossed the Caucasus Mountain Range into Europe. I mean, you had one guy way up there on Ireland. And Jeremiah eventually took the crown princess up there and married her off to that head chieftain up there. It's a great love story. It's given in the Bible somewhat. Tune into my other channel, Awakening Israel. I've covered that a few times. Now, I know that YouTube doesn't like me very much, and they don't upload many of my videos. I don't know why that is. I guess they got a problem with Creator Father Yahweh God. Might that not be an indicator that they are owned and run by, that they are the children of the devil, the children of Cain, the descendants of the evil ones, the murderers, the ones that Yahshua, Jesus, you call Jesus, I call him Yahshua, that's his right name, and he fingered them in the temple, and he told them, you're from your father. He was a murderer from the beginning, a liar from the beginning, and he still is today. You got to take that Bible a little bit more literally, folks, and you would realize that we are in the end of the fight between good and evil, and the end of this earth age in particular, which is an important thing for you to know, because your government's got you chasing your tail, so you can't get ready for it and get ready to survive this thing. And they've already screwed you up by screwing you out of most of the money that was available. They made a bunch of phony money. They counterfeited our own currency, their own currency, and they spent that on building these underground cities and bases, these DUMBs, deep underground military bases, which are dumb because they chose the wrong locations, and when they go into those things, they're going to be covered in thousands of feet of ice. They're not coming out again, folks. They're stuck there. Some of them are going to be down there, and we're going to be chasing them out later on. The survivors are going to be realizing what the hell's happened and who the bad guys are, and we're going to go ferreting them out, and we're going to go hunting them. And from what I read in the Bible, it's going to last probably 3 or 4 generations easily. Your great-grandchildren will be hunting those son of a bitches out in the future, because they will know them for the evil they are, because you didn't wake up in time and you let them screw us up. And the survivors are going to say, we're not going to do this again. Those bastards have survived about 6 of these earth ages, from my estimation. You want to know when they arrived? They arrived about 70 to 72,000 years ago. There's a great space battle. Those giant ships were blasted out of the skies by Michael, the Archangel. Yeah, he was a real dude, man. Big ships. Drove those to the earth. Off those ships came the fallen angels, the evil ones, which the Chinese identified as the white devils. And that's why they call us white devils. The word Caucasian translates into Chinese as white devil. They had bad experience with those dudes. Anyway, that's really stuff for the other channel. And since I'm consecrated on that, I don't want to even appear to be trying to work around it. But you need to know the history that's in the Bible is the history of the real earth for this particular age. There are some references to the previous ages. In case you're wondering, an earth age, from reading the Bible and the apocryphal books, you will find is approximately 12,000 years. And that Sphinx has been there a lot longer than that. That thing's like a timetable. It points at a particular constellation, and that is in line with where we are in the galaxy as our solar system goes around the galaxy. I think it goes this way. And when we get to the same part of the galaxy every 12,000 years, there's an abundance of space dust. And it irritates our sun every time. And our sun blows its shell of dust because it's become irritated. And in order to function, it's got to blow the dust out that it accumulates. That's when you get a micronova. And that's when the side of the earth facing the sun gets toasted, roasted, and the other side instantly freezes. That's how your mastodons froze. We're talking about super fast freezing. So fast those mastodons couldn't even spit out the buttercups they were eating. They couldn't exhale or inhale. It was that fast. And if you know how big a mastodon is, realize how cold it has to be for that thing to flash freeze. That's what happened. They flash froze. And so you folks on that side of the earth, the dark side of the earth, when that happens, you are going to experience cold that you will not believe. You're going to need all the fossil fuels, and there's no such thing as fossil fuel, baby. It's all a mineral the earth produces. They call it fossil as a marketing ploy to make you think that it's rare and you're going to run out of it and it's worth a lot of money, and it ain't. The earth makes it all the time. And especially when the sun goes micronova, the earth, to protect itself and to insulate itself from the plasma energies, the electrical energies, builds up a whole bunch of that mineral underneath the surface at one time. So it's going to get replenished here in short order. There's so much of it, it's not funny. That is the great event. You want the date? Man, those Christians mock me when I come up with a date saying, no man knows, that's what it says in the Bible. Look, man, there's a lot of different days of the Lord in the Bible. There's 6 of them. And those yo-yos think he only comes back one more time. The way I see it, he's been here once. He's got about 6 more to go. Well, he's got a few more to go. You know, the end day, the latter times. You know, in that day, you shall consider it. We are learning stuff very quickly at this point. So, the year is 2046, and it's going to be between September, could happen in September, anytime through the end of December that year. Now, I pegged a date on it, and I got this recently from a YouTube video in which they interviewed a man who really has read the scriptures quite well. He's a Jew. Good one, good fig, not a bad one. You know, Isaiah said they're good figs and bad figs. This guy's good. And he figured out from his studies, and he could be wrong, and I could be wrong by adopting his error. But he says that the Noah's flood occurred 6,000 years ago, half an Earth age ago, and it began on October 16th. Now, there's all kinds of ways to calculate that calendar from the scriptures and from history. And in case you're wondering, the Pope changed the calendar on us. So, you know, he changes the times. That's one of the signs of the Antichrist, by the way. So, what was I getting at? I pinpoint October 16th as the day, because I think this thing is set up like a giant clock. And it's set so it recycles itself. And you and I only get to hang out for a few inches along that path, if you will. We only get a few turns around the sun, and the sun doesn't go around the Milky Way galaxy, but maybe once in 25,000 years, 50,000, 12,000 years. I don't know. One of you brainy young folks out there who happens to watch this probably will figure it out right now. If you do, please put it down there. And in case you're wondering, I will respect that comment tremendously. I will be grateful for it. I used to come up with a lot of stuff when I was younger, too. I sorted a lot of things out when I was in 4th grade. You see, I was driven into my books because they were so friggin' abusive. The teachers were abusive that year. I ended up down in the principal's office all the damn time. And the family I was in was not much of a joy either for me. It was a rather difficult family. My mother took out her wrath on me, and the rest of the family was happy because it was me getting my ass kicked and not them. So I ended up getting into the books. It was a refuge for me. It was a way I could avoid problems, avoid abuse, avoid people. And I read those books in the library and read everything I could. And then when the television set was on, I had the books out, reading them on the doggone living room rug on the floor. I was studying. You know, we were reared by that damn television, which always tells lies. So we were all programmed up, and the family loved that stuff, and they hated it when I asked questions about the truth, when I pointed out inconsistencies. You know, what's a child, what's a 5-year-old boy doing asking questions like that? My mother wasn't very happy with it because she couldn't answer my questions. My dad was perplexed too. They weren't very happy about that. It was too bad. They made things rough for me because I asked questions and I could see through the bullshit. As a little boy, I was reared in Germany for quite a period of time. I was afraid to go there. My dad was regular Army. I didn't understand that at the time. I just knew he was in the Army. I didn't understand what an officer was even at that time. But I understood that madman on the television set that was screaming, that rabid dog. Turns out they sped up those videos to make him look like a rabid dog and make him look like a madman. And I didn't want to go to Germany because even though I was 7 years old, I knew, man, those people are horrible. They are ugly. They are evil. I mean, I don't want to go there. Look at this stuff. That's what the tube was doing to me. Watching those old movies of that guy with a little mustache. Not realizing he probably picked it up from Charlie Chaplin, the comedy back in the silent movies. Genius of an actor. I think Buster Keaton was better, though. Okay. I end up in Germany, and guess what? Those people were better than our people. They were more honest, more noble, more intellectual, more intelligent, and they ratted themselves out all the time. They were so honest. They were better than us. And when I got back to the States, I was appalled. How dirty and filthy it was. Germany and Europe was manicured. I mean, they took the trash out. Everything was in order. Even those little towns with the cobblestone streets, even those farms, they didn't have anything trashed up. They didn't have any trash. I got back here and I'm looking at the ditches by the highways and the roads and all of the garbage. We live like pigs compared to them. They were better than us. That's why the evil ones threw us against them. That's why the evil ones targeted them. They were jealous. They knew they were the chosen people. The evil ones knew that Germany meant genuine and knew that the tribe of Judah settled in Germany. And whenever the Pope needed a Holy Roman Emperor, needed a warrior, he hired a crowd. Every one of them was a German. Tribe of Judah shall hold the scepter until the return of Shiloh, until the return of the Messiah. Sorry, folks, if you don't like Christianity. Well, I don't like the name of it, and I don't like what most of their precepts are, to be honest with you. I have a lot of trouble with that bullshit of theirs. I read the Bible and take it concretely and literally, and which is what I suggest you do as well. You'll be far ahead if you take it that way instead of trying to make some sort of some dude with long hair picking flowers on the hillside that couldn't hurt a soul, wouldn't hate a soul. He didn't have long hair, folks. Not only that, it wasn't brown hair. You got that long brown hair from some Pope Borgia or something like that. It was his son. It was a portrait of his son that the Pope decided to make famous as the Christ. What a fallacy. We have 2 eyewitness written accounts of your Jesus, my Yeshua. And in both of those accounts, he's got a golden beard. He's got golden hair. And he's got blue eyes. Now, I don't have golden colored hair. I wasn't a blonde. And I certainly don't have blue eyes except for the first few weeks of life like we all have. At least all Caucasoids have that. So he wasn't dark and swarthy, and he didn't wear long hair. He wore the short hair of the time, and he had a beard. You know, Hebrews wore beards. And Pontius Pilate, I think, would know what he looks like, don't you? And that's what he put in the letter to Caesar, describing, Yeshua. We are riding on a sea of myths, fallacies, lies, deceptions. And the three ways they do this, the three demons, frogs out of the beast's mouth, were government, real evil, kill more people than anything else on the planet. Your own government does that. And then you have religion, which teaches you a bunch of lies, half-truths, and misleads you and sets you up like the Judas goats they are. And then you have education, in which they brainwash you. My God, I think the first thing we ought to do is get rid of this education system. It's nothing but a damn prison. It institutionalizes kids. It just kills their creativity. It kills their spirits. I hated it. I wanted to go to a private school. Parents wouldn't send me to it. Man, my Catholic friends would tell me what their schools were like, and wow, they were much better educated. I wanted to go there. No, we ain't Catholics. My parents can't afford to pay for that education. Okay. Then I wanted to go to a military academy. I wanted to get the hell out of that house. I was tired of getting beat by my sister, my little sister. She led the pack. And my mother would chime in and beat on me as well. Then my dad would. That went on for 9 friggin' years. Anyway, yeah, I've got my wounds. I've got my scars. I'm real public with it here with you because I want you to understand I'm a pretty flawed individual, and the background didn't help me very much. And if you want to stop the violence against women and children, my adage is this: stop the violence against men. When you can get the violence against men stopped, believe me, I think everything else falls in order. Just try it. That's my strategic intervention. That's the axiom I put forward. If you can stop the violence against men, especially in the family courts, good luck on that one. Anyway, where were we? Where were we headed? I borrowed the MAGA logo and I have altered it. I have changed it. So if anybody knows Mr. Trump out there, you can send this video to him, and I will admit I have stolen his MAGA logo and I have given it the proper meaning. He's a salesman, kind of narcissistic, and he knows you're narcissistic. That's right. And so he's selling you by telling you, make America great again. Whereas I'm telling you, make America good again. You don't focus on being great. If you do, you miss the mark, which is the old archer's term for a sin. So stop your sinning. Focus on being good. When you are good, Yahweh fights your battles for you. He steps in. He blesses you. The blessings are in the Bible, in Deuteronomy and Leviticus. Double witness in the Bible, meaning he wants us to pay attention to this. He wants us to learn that material. And Alec de Tocqueville traveled the country here for 2 years, and he wrote a book about what life was like in America. He was a Frenchman. He wrote as an outsider, and he came to a conclusion, and his conclusion is very important. He says the reason America is great is because America is good. And when America stops being good, America will stop being great. You need to know, those big box churches, those pastors are lying to you. They say, United States, America is not in the Bible. I disagree. It's in the book of Genesis, where Israel is adopting his 2 grandsons as his own. He's adopting Joseph's sons, which is why you don't see a tribe of Joseph out in the world or references to it, because you have a tribe of Manasseh and a tribe of Ephraim. So you got 13 tribes, not including the Ashkenazi people that came up from Mount Seir that infiltrated things, the Idumeans, the Edomites. We're not going to get into that. And when Israel, the man, put a blessing and adopted these two grandsons of his as his own boys, and this was in Egypt, he crossed his arms, creating St. Andrew's cross, which is what the stars and bars are for the South. That's St. Andrew's cross. This is one of those places where I screw up, and I had to call a teacher this weekend and ask him the truth. Get that backlight going on right now. And he straightened me out because I have had a problem with this for a long time. And so Manasseh was the oldest, and Ephraim was the youngest. I had that reversed. And, of course, Joseph wanted the blessing on his older boy. And Israel said, I know it, my son, but this is the way it's going to be. And he said Manasseh was going to be a great nation, which is what America became, a great nation, a great Israelite nation. Not the Israelite nation, but one of several. All Israelite nations are under attack. They're all ruled by some horrible, evil bastards that are working for the world, whatever it is you want to call it, New World Order, those bastards in Davos. The World Economic Forum. And the other boy, Ephraim, was going to become a company of nations, which was the British Empire. And then if you look at the royalty, the descriptions of the royalty given in towards the end of the book of Genesis, in which Israel is talking about the characteristics of his boys, you will find that the descriptions given are the same emblems and symbols on the flags of the nations that came out of those boys, that were founded by them. And you'll see some crossover between those symbols, shared on different flags. That's one way to track them down. There's a whole book written on that. The heraldry of Israel. Israel the man, not that little postage stamp of a country founded by the Rothschilds. And Adolf Hitler was the father of modern Israel. Keep that in mind. Things aren't what they seem, folks. You've been lied to. I've been lied to. We've been deceived. So we are in the Bible, in the book of Genesis. And these pastors got you walking around saying, we're Gentiles. You're a Gentile, grafted in by grace. Man, they created some weird superstitions. You're the real deal. You're a party to the original covenants. Your ancestors were at Mount Sinai, agreeing to that, committing you to the covenant. But here you are being told you're a Gentile. Well, so what the hell is a Latin word, gentilius, doing in a Hebrew dictionary or in a doggone Greek dictionary? Bible. In a Hebrew Bible or in a Greek Bible? What is a Latin word doing in there? It's one of those things they throw you off with, folks. There are errors and landmines put in the Bibles by the scribes because there are a lot of evil ones there. In case you're wondering, in my estimation, and my intuition tells me by 1850, all the seminaries have been taken over by the evil ones. So all these guys that have been trained up in the seminaries have been trained to mislead you. They've been deceived and they've become deceivers. Just like what happened to Eve in the garden. She had been deceived, seduced, talked into having sex with somebody other than what she thought. And she became a deceiver. And then announced to Adam that with the help of God, she had gotten a man-child. With the help of the devil, she got that one. I understand why I'm not getting many subscribers right now, because you all are offended by the Bible. Well, if the Bible is the foundation for all of Western civilization, then what are you doing remaining ignorant of it? What are you doing allowing the foundations to be destroyed? What are you doing allowing the rug to be pulled out from underneath you? What are you doing cheering on your own destruction by turning to the rule and the law of man and men rather than Yahweh, Creator, Father, God, rather than natural law, which is what the Ten Commandments pretty much are. Folks, they got us by the short hairs. They got a stranglehold on us. It is a death grip. They're not going to give up. It's not easy to throw them off, but you can do it. How do you do it? Go down below, hit that link. There's a drop, and go to that page. There's a drop-down menu box or selection box. There's 5 different formats of the Bible available at the cheapest prices anywhere. The lowest price you're going to find on those Bibles. But act quickly, folks. Those Bibles are not going to stay cheap like that forever. They're going to be going up in price, up in value, just like everything else. As a matter of fact, I can say this with total confidence. These Bibles are offered at about half the price that the competitor produces a similar Bible for. You know, when you get into a leather-bound copy of your, the enemy's Bible is actually called the Schofield Referee Study Bible. It also was produced out of Michigan, by the way, just like this Bible was. Let me get the name up properly. That's a cue as to its name. The proper name version of the King James Bible. This is a vast improvement upon the King James Bible. By the way, the purpose of the King James Bible was King James wanted to divorce his wife. So they produced this Bible which allowed him to divorce his wife. That's right, folks. He wasn't a good guy. He was a horrible guy. He was a pedophile. He was a murderer. He was a horrible dude. He was homosexual on top of that. He was so bad, so vile, so evil that in one of his books, Charles Dickens wrote a 4-page intro describing the wickedness of King James. And my ancestor brought you that Bible. His name that he had to work and live under was Sir Francis Bacon. His father was a Kent. His mother was the Queen of England. And had the public discovered that, had the church discovered that, the Queen would have been beheaded for having an adulterous affair. She had 2 boys out of wedlock by the same Mr. Kent. They were full brothers, and they could not. Neither one was called by the name Kent. And Sir Francis Bacon actually knew who his mother was, and at 12 years of age, he demanded a private audience with the Queen, and he got it. And that's when he confronted the Queen Mother that he knew. She was his real mother. And the Queen, oh boy, was she pissed off. My God, I guess she about come apart. She told him, "You're going to Spain and you're going to become an attorney." So she sent him out of the country completely to get rid of his young ass. And he went to Spain and did become the Queen's attorney. And he actually ended up charging his brother properly, since his brother tried to take the throne from their mother. He charged his brother with that treason and got him convicted and got him sentenced to death and got his brother executed. Talk about problems in the family, folks. I think I had a real gem of a family compared to that one. And there's some real interesting family things in this book. There's some real dysfunctional families. It's got a lot of drama in it. And there's some harsh stuff in here. You ought to read it. So, Sir Francis Bacon was sired by a Kent. My family's genealogies go back a generation after that generation. In other words, we don't go back far enough so I can identify who Mr. Kent was. But you can bet he came out of the county of Kent, where land rights were given. Really good land rights. And that's what this nation was started on. They gave a allodial title. The title which even the king could not take away. And in the New World, here, they called it patented land. When your land was patented, you had all rights. Above it, below it, surface, mineral rights, water rights, everything. And it could not be taxed. It could not be... It could not... Nobody could attach your property with a bill. Nobody could take you to court and then, in the judgment, put a lien against your property. They weren't allowed to do it. And, of course, the bankers didn't like it because they couldn't confiscate the property through a bankruptcy. And they set that banking system up so that you really aren't even borrowing any money from them. They don't give you any money. They take that instrument that you sign, that promissory note, and they get to participate in the banking system of credit. And you get to participate in the banking system of debt. So they take that promissory note, turn it over, and mark it for deposit, or for deposit only, or for deposit with prejudice. And based upon whatever endorsement it is, whatever asset they declare it as, they get to lend so many folds of money against it. So basically, when you take out a mortgage, you're adding to the money supply, and it's not a proper addition to it, in case you're wondering. And then you get to pay it back, plus interest. Where does the interest come from? Well, it's not part of the system. So they actually set the whole thing up so that you end up going bankrupt. They do that on purpose. It is their money magic. It is how they steal things, how they've stolen the whole country. So you no longer have land patents. You were supposed to have your own land that never could be taken away, just like in ancient Israel, where we come from. And our founders knew they were Israelites. Man, you read, I think it was Thomas Jefferson's eulogy, his obituary for George Washington begins, "A great man in Israel has died." They knew who they were. You don't know who you are. Why? Because you don't read your Bible. Those boys all read the Bible. As children, that's what they learned to read from, was the Bible. So, we've come too far. We've come so far away from God's rule that we now have these weird statutes that just are unending, and you and I are all committing crimes, mostly without knowing it. If they want one of us, they can do what they did over in the Soviet Union. They can arrest a man and come up with a crime later. They'll figure out what it is later. No, you do not live in the land of the free, home of the brave. You live in the land of the fee, home of the slave. You are not under the Constitution. You have no rights. They've all been taken from you. They have superimposed a foreign jurisdiction upon you, so that you've basically been deported. Except they didn't move you out of the place. They moved this foreign jurisdiction on you. That's what Washington, D.C. is. It has no legal right. It is an illegal government. A series of, I believe, 4 different corporations and a giant shell game, so that you and I can't figure it out. Not very easily, anyway. And so what we have to do, according to a woman who's really brainy, she ran for Congress, did not make it. I believe she's from South Carolina, Patricia Wheat. Give her credit. We have to form proper state governments, because even our state governments are incorporated, or for-profit corporations. And all corporations come under the mother of all corporations, and that would be the Vatican. So there's only one corporation. It is definitely the beat system with one rule government, one government for all at this point. It's been there for a while. You thought it was coming in the future, right? No, man, we're way past that time. Look, I like this Navage system. I do like it, but I don't believe in the germ theory, period. I believe in the poisoning, toxicity theory. I think that's what they've been doing to us for centuries. And so that's what they're continuing to do. So at this point, you need to wake up and realize you're being poisoned. Realize it's being done on purpose. Realize it's a silent weapon for silent war. All right, folks, I've about had it here. I think you probably have too. So we're going to call it Just Giving Psychology Away number 118. Like this video, share it. Do leave a comment. Help me break out of the algorithm so more people get to see this. I'm going to keep up with this channel, Dr. John Taylor Kent, of the Giving Psychology Away show, the Dr. Kent Show. This is set up to reveal the psychological aspects of what's going on in this society, and it's pretty evil. Yeah, we manage the plantation for the masters, and we run multiple experiments at one time on all of you all. Yeah, we're doing that all the time with many different interventions, and we know what's usually coming, and we learn from it, and we tune things out. So all of this bullshit that you're going through, all of this confusion, all of this liberalism, it's being foisted off on you by my profession for the most part. My guys are in the background working for the governments, and there's more guys in the backgrounds working for corporations and governments than there are licensed psychologists out there. They're doing this to you. I think it's the worst profession in the world. You might think the legal profession is the worst profession in the world. You might also think the medical profession is the worst profession in the world, or the dental profession is the worst profession in the world, or law enforcement, or the courts, these weird courts that don't accept common law pleas, that accept only statutory pleas, which is a violation of the man's right they're trying to convict. They're all guilty of crimes, folks. That's the absurdity of it all. Once you catch on to this, they can't hide from it. So do yourself a favor. Talk to other people. Learn about my strategic intervention called the original 13th Amendment. Because that's how you're going to get your republic back. You don't have a choice. I know my family, oh, that'll never happen. You don't have a choice. For one thing, we're already in a civil war, very atypical. We're already in World War III, very atypical from previous wars. And in the end, we aren't going to be able to agree upon our government very well. Once we get this thing back, once you youngsters prevail and take control of this baby, you're going to be arguing about what to do. Guess what? All you got to do is restore the original structure our founders gave us. That's it. Hands down. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already been invented for you. You just have to return to it. You chop this federal government down in size. You get rid of 85% of it. You go back to tariffs and duties at the border so that the middle class gets to grow again. You have a protected population. And it actually works for the little guy abroad, too. It's in his best interest that he get paid properly for his labor. Man, there's so much good that can be done and that you're going to do. You have to do it. Because if you don't, these evil ones are going to destroy this whole planet. They've done it to other planets before. Yeah. That asteroid belt out there, that's one of the planets these evil guys destroyed before they got here. And Mars, the ruins with all those cities up there, they destroyed its atmosphere a long time ago. Yeah, they're really wicked. And where do they come from? One of those planets out there in space, or several of them probably. This is kind of like a jungle. It's kind of like a playground. And I swear this thing is set up to be the greatest show on Earth. Because I got a feeling that those higher entities are just out there watching this whole thing for their entertainment. Even Yahweh might be watching it for his pleasure as well. But that's beyond my pay grade. What's your pay grade? Yahweh bless. Buy my Bibles. Like this video. Get it out there so other people get to see it. My old videos are timeless, folks. Go watch those. Enjoy those things. And if it's too slow, speed it up. If you don't like it, watch a different one. If you don't like a section, blast your way through it. Do the same when you read the Bible. If you don't like tedious genealogies, then push through it, skim through it, or just open up another book. There's plenty of other books to tune to, folks. Yahweh bless. May you bless Yahweh, and may you yourself become good again. May you become the best you can, thereby making America good again. Make America good again. The greatness will follow. Yahweh will turn towards us and will repent of the evil he had in mind for us.